Hello, welcome back to the environment project. We are still UV mapping. It is quite exciting. Not really, but this is part of the process, this long, tedious process of applying UVs. And we're still doing it. So we're going to keep going. Look at my panels, saved layout, perspective / UV editor. And we're going to keep on keeping on. So this piece is pretty much just kind of this facade shell, so it should be pretty easy to get the UVs for. First I'll modify freeze transformations, UV automatic. And we have all these guys now. And because I don't have a backside or anything to worry about, I'll just move and sew all of them. And so they all kind of move and sew and be put together correctly right off the bat. So that was pretty easy. So go ahead and assign our texture and scale it. Make sure we have proper scale. So I'm kind of going off of this section down here as it goes up, and it seems pretty close right now. It's not too far off. So I think I'll just go ahead and leave it like that. And keep going. This piece is very similar to this one. So modify, freeze transformations, automatic unwrap, select all the vertical edges, move and sew, and then we're all done with that one. So we can assign our texture. So we're pretty much right with the one below it. So we'll keep going. So here we have some more arch shapes. Let's go ahead and do this one first. And this one does have a backside and such, so we'll go ahead and isolate this one by hitting Alt-H to just isolate this one by itself. All right, modify, freeze transformations, UV automatic. So again, I'm going to probably lay this out straight so that any wood grain will flow with the objects as if the wood has been bent. So with that in mind, I'm going to grab this shell here as my starting point. So got all these put together like this. And then I will select all of these polygons, cut UV edges. There we go. Okay. Now I'll make sure my seam is in the right spot. So I want my seam to be one of these two in the back. So either this one or this one. So I need to actually cut these UVs, polygons, cut, and then I'll sew these onto the other side like this so that our seam is in the back. And then we can, if we need to, we can straighten these out, but I think they look, they're a little bit wobbly through here, but I think it's straight enough for the most part. Well, maybe go ahead and straighten through them. All right, we'll assign our texture. Control-Shift-H to unhide everything. Then we'll scale this to more closely match what we have. That looks pretty close through there. Might go ahead and flip it around. So this part through here, let's scale a little bit differently. Pull it down a little bit. Looks about close enough there. Alrighty, moving right along. We have this nice, complicated looking piece, but it's not too bad. What we're going to do is have the front facing piece be mapped separately from the sides. So we're going to modify freeze transformations, automatic, and see what we get. So this has a bit more complexity to the shape. So we get these kind of major pieces. So this will be our major front facing piece here. And then these pieces are our sides. We'll go ahead and put the sides together, moving so like this. I want to see where my seam is. Right now it's down here toward the bottom. I think I'd rather have it up at the very top. So I'm going to grab these two edges right through here and cut them. Polygons, cut. I'm going to sew this onto here. So now my seam will run through the top of the side, and that part is mostly covered and not seen, which is why I put it there. It could also have gone to the bottom right here where it's cutting through there, because it also wouldn't be seen. Alright, so I think I'm going to select the rest of these little pieces, these edges, and cut them. And I'm also going to cut this beveled edge off of here and apply it to our main front faces, I think. So I'm going to cut those also. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is select all of these and move them so. And so you can see how we're kind of building onto it. So I'm just kind of selecting all of them and pressing G to move and sew all these edges I cut off over here. And then once I get to this point, I'll deselect. Actually, no, I do want those actually. Press G one more time. Now I'll deselect all these, press G one last time. And now you see we have this kind of effect. Now these faces through here around these little narrow tips, they are going to be a bit stretched through here because of this widening effect as it goes around. If that's the problem, I might tear those UVs off and map them more straight like I did with this. But we'll wait and see when we get that far. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and call this done for the most part. So one command I'd like to use, if you notice, I have very unequal spacing through all of these edges. Some of them are closer together than others. And if you look at the geometry, the edges are pretty much equal distance from each other. So we're going to use a command called polygons, and it's called unfold here. So when I select it, unfold, you can see it kind of lays those out here. And you can notice how all of the faces are symmetrically placed now. They're all uniform, like they should be. So that unfold command helped me straighten those out. I could use it probably for some of the other pieces I've had, but we'll go ahead and move on for now. And let's go ahead and assign our texture. Assign existing texture grid. And let's look at our scale and how it compares. We can see I can rotate this like this. And it looks like we're looking at the light green bar for our scale comparison here. So we can scale this down a bit. So that looks pretty close. Let's grab this strip that represents the side here, and we can do the same with it and try and get its scales. So you kind of scale it larger like this. So again, that looks pretty close. I'm not too worried if I'm off by a slight amount. I just don't want to be off by too much. But you can see here, if we zoom in to the tip of these circular protrusions, you can kind of see how the UVs here in that little compressed area are kind of messed up. But I'm hoping that detail will be too small to really notice once we get to the final piece, because we're going to be seeing it, you know, pretty much from this distance away, something like this. So I really don't think it'll be too noticeable. All right, let's do this inner piece here. Similar to how these pieces were done, we have some faces that are hidden by the surrounding geometry that we're not too concerned about. So we'll go to Modify, Freeze Transformations, UV, Automatic. We get this. I'll go ahead and isolate this, Alt-H. Oh, okay, looks like I did delete the faces in this particular piece's case. So all the faces here are ones that we actually need, so there are no faces that we can ignore. So that's okay. So what I'm going to do is grab all of this, deselect the horizontal edges because I want them to stay intact, and then detach the rest. So polygons, cut UVs. I'm going to apply them through here. Moving so. Then I can grab all of these and deselect these, because I don't want to move in so of these strips. I mainly wanted to close these gaps I have here. Moving so like that. And as for these pieces, we can move and sew them. They can all be on top of each other in one big strip. That works fine. The seam for this looks like is in that little corner right there. That should be fine. So that's pretty much done. Let's assign our shader and rescale. This is a smaller detail. Use this blue column as our main comparison. It's pretty close. And this piece will actually duplicate and scale -1 in the x-axis and reposition the duplicate over here to be for this side. Okay, so we've got that done now. Now we have this piece here. It's relatively straightforward, I think. These faces on the bottom, I think, are going to be hidden by all these column bits. So the only things we're really worried about are mainly these front-facing faces and then the beveled edge as it extends into the alcove. So, modify, freeze transformations. You know the drill by now. Automatic mapping. And gives us our starting point. So we have this main piece here. It looks like all the beveled edges have been added on here automatically, which is nice. I was going to add those anyway. And then we have our strips of faces that we can attach their corresponding edge to. A little bit of an angle here. We can grab these and align to the left Do the same with this. And I'll go ahead and align these as well. I'm just curious, will the unfold command help me with that? Let's go to polygons, unfold. Not really. So I'll undo that. Just lay them out straight, and then we can use that unfold command to hopefully get them to be uniformly spaced. So the unfold command definitely uniformly spaced them, but it did still kind of bow them out. I can align those strips of UVs like that. So it's not perfect, but close enough, I think. We can assign our shader. Let's get our scale correct. It's a bit of a larger piece, so it has a lot of space to it. Okay, so it looks like we have this whole section pretty much done at this point. I'm going to save it. And we can move on to the column area. All right, well, let's start with this big piece here. All right, so we'll modify, freeze transformations, UV automatic. Give us again our starting point. So they have lots of pieces here. So mainly just want to get the three main sides all laid out straight. And so these pieces we can detach from here and here as well. So we'll grab this edge and move and sew. Same with this one. Kind of put those pieces on here. Go ahead and align this straight. Same with the other one. And I'm going to cut off these beveled edges, like so. And then we're going to apply them over here onto the main front-facing piece. And then this face doesn't look like you ever really see it, so we can probably delete it. Oh yeah, here it is back here. Yeah, we can get rid of that one. All right. That looks like it's relatively accurate. So let's assign our texture. I do think this should be the same height. As these other pieces over here. Alright, so let's get our scales. Let's go ahead and select all of these and kind of scale them. Try and match the density we have over here. It's a large area. So something like that. Yeah, close enough. We do have a texture seam running up the corner, but I think that's justified. Okay. we'll keep on. Let's see, we do the wall or the column first. Doesn't really matter. Let's do the wall first. It'll be a little bit easier, and then we can go back and do the column. So we can do this kind of mantle looking piece. Modify, freeze transformations, UV automatic. So let's work on this piece first. And actually, a lot of these faces in the back we can probably just delete. We're never really going to see them. Let's go ahead and do that for this particular piece. I think that's justified. So I'm going to select all these faces in the back here. And you can see them selected in the UV editor as well, and just hit delete. So we'll kind of just delete that whole back piece. I don't think we need it. So now we should be able to move and sew our pieces okay. Okay, there we go. And now we have some pieces kind of sticking on here, which we can delete or cut off. Attach these together here. Do the same on the other end. And then we can, these pieces should probably attach over here. I feel like we can probably select them all like that and deselect the corresponding edges on the main piece and get away with it. So move and sew. Seems to have worked for the most part. There we go. So select all of these. Deselect all these, just I want to close up any gaps. Move and sew like that. So now all the gaps should be closed up. We have a bit of a compression here where two UVs are compressed a bit together, so I'll move those slightly. Same one over here. So we can kind of map those onto the side here. And we'll see if I keep it that way. I'm not entirely certain. But all right, so that piece is essentially done. We will have a seam running down the corner, and we'll see if we want to move these pieces to blend in through here, which we might, but we'll see. I'll leave it as this, like this for now, and we'll assign our existing material. And then we can get our scales set. Look for the red, looks like a good comparison. Pretty close. Let that go through there. All right. Go ahead and save this, and I think I'll call this video done for now. We're still going through this whole UV process, and it is what it is. We'll keep on going and finish the rest of this column, and then we'll have this section done with the UV layout, or UV mapping, I should say. So yeah, hope you're enjoying the process and learning a little bit how to do this. It's pretty much kind of the same steps over and over again, at least for these kinds of pieces. When you have more complex shapes, things get a little more interesting. But in any case, I will talk to you guys later.